Welcome to Canada's History Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Kessler. Today I'm speaking with John Liu, a reporter for TSN. We're talking about his history idol, Canadian legend Terry Fox. So first of all, can you tell us about who Terry Fox was?
Terry Fox, he was the young man who basically founded the Marathon of Hope in April 1980 when he dipped his artificial leg into the waters of South St. John's, Newfoundland, and ran his heart out until later in 1980 when he succumbed to cancer near Thunder Bay, along the way capturing the hearts and minds and imagination of not just Canadians, but people around the globe, or I guess as far as the media at the time, 32 years ago, would have allowed reach-wise. Yeah, Terry Fox to me was truly one of the greatest Canadians who ever lived.
And when did you become aware of him?
Well, if it was 1980, I would have been not quite 16. I was in high school, and through newspaper and radio, television news, we have there would have been coverage of Terry as he began his run in the spring of 1980, and as it progressed throughout the course of that year and into the summer of 1980 before the eventual sad end, the premature end to his run. At the time, being just a teenager who hadn't even learned to drive at that point, I didn't really quite grasp the gravity and the scope of what he was trying to achieve. But a couple of lifetimes later, my respect and admiration and regard that I hold for Terry Fox, what he stood for, what he tried to accomplish, what he did accomplish in the short time that he was afforded, and the legacy that's resulted from his efforts it's mind-blowing, really, because there's nobody on this planet who isn't affected by cancer either directly or indirectly. And so for what Terry Fox started and what he founded and what continues today, raising over $500 million in his name, is truly astounding, and it's a testament to him as the man, as the person, and it truly makes me proud to consider myself a fellow Canadian.
Now, you mentioned the time when Terry passed away. How devastating was that for you and for the rest of Canada at that time?
It took a while for Canada. When you look at history, it took a while for Canada to really catch on to what Terry was doing. It wasn't really until, I guess appropriately, Canada Day, when he came into Ontario, when he was greeted in Ottawa as a favorite son. It just seemed that it wasn't until that point, that had been like mid-April that he started, May, June, so about 2.5 months of really fighting and struggling, for sponsors, for donations, for coverage, awareness, to be afforded to his cause. And when he went through Quebec, he went through a terrible experience. People trying to ride him off the road. It's just unfathomable how ignorant some of the people were. That's the treatment that he got. I believe that once he truly got recognition as a national hero, appropriately starting on Canada Day of 1980. That's when things really took off, and when he had to halt his run, and as we as a nation, as individuals, and as a collective watched how Terry, the last few months of his life, like into 1981, after he had to halt his run due to cancer, it was like a prolonged goodbye. And I do remember just seeing the news reports and just how stricken people were, because we came to appreciate what he had accomplished and what he stood for. And then as his life started to slip away and he started losing his battle to cancer, it was like a very long goodbye. Again, at the time, it didn't impact me as much as it does now. From this point in my life, having lost very close friends to cancer and watching them struggle over the long haul and eventually losing their fights to the disease. Although that I have had other friends and relatives who have fought it and survived, and so there are happy endings there. But when it becomes more personal, then when you think about what he did, what he accomplished, and what he sacrificed, and the pain that he fought through, then you appreciate it that much more. And so, every September when the Terry Fox run is on, you really think and honor his memory. You think about what he meant to Canada, we as individuals, but as a nation too. So I think that I probably feel the loss more now than I did back in 1981 when he eventually lost his fight to cancer.
Okay, then why do you think the story of Terry Fox is important to Canadian history specifically?
Well, I think it's, there are a lot of qualities about Terry Fox that we as Canadians admire, and I believe we identify with. And I think the first one I'd like to touch upon is humility. I mean, Canadians have a reputation globally as being a humble people, and to me that Terry Fox to a large extent embodied that, because he didn't do what he did for personal recognition. I mean, the attention and the coverage that he was seeking was for the greater good. It was for the cause that he was promoting. And I mean, he started that run because of the fact that he suffered cancer that led to him losing his leg in the first place, and the care that he got, and the shortcomings in the Canadian medical community that opened his eyes to cancer treatments, or I guess the need for greater awareness and funding towards cancer research and treatment. That's what his sacrifice was all about. So, I mean, it's not like he was trying to bring attention upon himself. It's like, look at me, look what I'm doing, what a great guy I'm doing, look how courageous and noble I am. The thing is, he was all of those things. He was courageous and noble and selfless. But above all, I thought that one of his most enduring and endearing qualities was his humility, because he was doing this for the greater good. And the other thing about Terry Fox was that I admire so much is that he was human. He expressed anger and frustration at, I guess, some of the barriers and the obstacles that he faced. I mean, he wasn't afraid to let that side of himself show. You know, that when the funding wasn't coming in, or the way that he was treated and so forth. And again, this was all geared towards the task that he had set out for himself. He lets parts of his personality come out that we all admit to it. To certain extents, whether it be anger or frustration, what people would consider character flaws, but the fact is, these are all parts of being human. So to me, Terry Fox's humility and his humanity are just two of the qualities that really make me identify with him as a Canadian. And this was no Hollywood storybook ending. That this was real life. This was a young man, an ordinary individual who did extraordinary things, and there was no Hollywood ending to his story. And to me, that makes it very Canadian. That there's nothing contrived or phony or glossy about it. That it was real life, and the fact that his legacy has lived on makes what Terry Fox did, what he accomplished, and what he set out to do, worthwhile and admirable, because it is a lasting legacy, and one that will live in perpetuity, because until there is a cure for cancer, the name Terry Fox will be synonymous with the fight against cancer, not just in our nation, but around the globe, because the Terry Fox Run is the single biggest, is the largest single day fundraising endeavor across the globe that's geared towards cancer research and fighting the disease.
Yeah, I definitely agree that, Terry Fox never really appeared that comfortable in the spotlight. Do you think that could have affected how the public saw him? Do you think that had a negative effect at all?
I think as a people, Canadians don't generally go seeking glory. At least that's the perception that I have of our nation. That's, again, going back to being quintessentially a humble people. And did some people have a negative impression of him? Perhaps. And if they do, that's human. That's a reaction, correct? But to me, that just made Terry Fox more human. That there was nothing phony about him, right? It's that he wore his emotions on his sleeve, and he went through unbelievable pain. When you read his story, the lesions and the bruises and the shin splints and all the other adverse health effects that he suffered from running on an artificial leg, from cancer returning to ravage his body. It's like, I can't imagine what kind of mental, physical, emotional pain he went through every day doing what he did. And it's like, hey, we have bad days and we get in bad moods. Well, it's like Terry Fox was doing that to the nth degree every day while he was engaged in the marathon of hope. So, I think there's a lesson there that look below the surface, right? People, what they present themselves to be, it's not necessarily who they are, but how they may be reacting on any given day. But it would be a really interesting case study to see, had Terry Fox started what he did now, in this era with the internet, with Facebook, with Twitter, with all the other avenues of social media, how would his story have been covered in 2012? It's interesting to consider that from the standpoint of, well, what would Terry Fox in 1980, let's look at what he was in 1980 compared to what he would be in 2012. Boiled down into its purest and simplest form, it puts him in the history books as, in my view, as one of the greatest Canadians who ever lived.
Absolutely. So then finally, if you could put into words how Terry Fox has impacted your life and your career?
As much as I admire his humility and his selflessness, there are other qualities that embody his spirit that I admire so much, like his perseverance, his toughness, his resolution, his mental and emotional strength. These are qualities that when you look towards individuals that you want to pattern yourself after, and when you look at what they accomplished, whether it's professionally or personally, recreationally, to me there's so much of what Terry Fox was all about that I like to think that as a role model, as the influences of his personality, his character, he absorbed them, and especially, as I mentioned at the outset, from being a teenager at the time that he started. But when you go through your adult life and into your middle age, and as you develop experiences and perspective, and you look back and think that, well, how did I deal with a certain situation? How do I deal with certain situations? And it's like, I like to think that there were certain qualities that were part of what Terry Fox was that I absorbed personally, that I can live those qualities and those attributes, when the going gets tough. And it's a bit of a cliche, but when you consider, it's like, well, like I said earlier, if you're having a bad day, well, there's always people who are a heck of a lot worse off than you are. So it's like, well, just appreciate what you have, what you've been given, and what you're blessed with. And to me, it's like, well, you look at Terry Fox's example, and it's like, yeah, he willingly took on bad days every day. And if cancer hadn't cut him down, he would have made it past Thunder Bay, across our country, into BC, where his home was. And think of what the story, how that could have ended. But again, just getting back to what his legacy was, it's like, well, we see it every September. We like I said, like to see it in ourselves, in how he might have influenced us, big or small, as an individual, as a role model, as a hero. And that's what Terry Fox means to me, Ryan.
Well, that's great, John. Thank you so much for doing this. Thank you for listening to Canada's History Podcast. I'm Ryan Kessler, and today I've been speaking with John Liu, a reporter for TSN. Pick up your latest copy of Canada's History magazine on newsstands now, and check out canadashistory.ca for more podcasts and other exclusive content.